Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sacheen here. I don't know if anyone's going to see this because I am supremely late because it has been crazy just trying to find a spot to record a live. As you can see, it is the middle of summer. I have a sweater on because it is cold in this room. I hope the sound quality is okay because I'm in a much bigger, echoey space than I intended to be. Not in my normal spot. Lots happened. Let's just say lots happened. Anyway, it's Dr. Sacheen here. So glad you could join me on our first Facebook Live from the Anxiety Solution page. Hope that you catch this live. If not, you catch the replay. And I'm cross-posting this with the Dr. Sacheen page that has my other followers who are transitioning out of whatever. So let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Sacheen. I am the author of The Anxiety Solution, and I'm also an expatriate from the world of higher education, having been in higher education in one form or another for almost 25 years. Wow. And I have left a lot of that behind, though I do still dabble. And so now I am the author of The Anxiety Solution, as well as the Amazon best-selling author of So You're Getting Divorced, which is Notes for the Journey. You can find all of those books if you are following the Dr. Sacheen page. They're all listed for you. If you're on the Anxiety Solution page, I will link a library at some point. We're still getting this page set up. So anyway, I just wanted to come live because it's been a while since I've been able to go live, and I intended to be live like 2 hours ago. Anyway, and to tell you what's going on and to tell you why starting over is really important. And by the way, I'm at the library. I'm in the community room at the library, which is great because I can talk loudly and no one's going to get disturbed. But I'm also distracted because there are dogs out the window. So, yeah, people walk past, there are dogs out the window. I digress. So, what does yoga have to do with starting over or anything? Let me tell you a story. At the beginning of July, I was doing my yoga, and I've been practicing yoga in some form or another as a student, as a teacher, in some form or another since I'm not going to date myself like that. Let's just say a long time. It has been a love affair with the industry that I have embraced, even though the industry doesn't always embrace people of color. But I have loved yoga, at least Western yoga, not yoga worldwide, Western yoga. But I have loved the praxis and the practice of being a yogi. Fast forward to this month, July 2022, and I hurt myself for the very first time in my life. I did something to this part of my neck. And actually, let me take that back. My neck is fine. My neck was always fine. But somehow the inner crystals in my ear got out of whack and I developed vertigo. Now, I have stood on my head, I have stood on my arms, I have downward dogged, you name it, I have done it. And I have never had a problem. And all of a sudden, I have a problem. I'm getting through it, but let me tell you something. Number one, I wouldn't wish vertigo on my worst enemy. And I would wish a lot of things on my worst enemies. But I would not wish vertigo on my worst enemy. There's nothing that feels more bizarre than your body going one direction at one speed, but your brain doesn't quite know that, so it's going its own direction at a different speed. So the doctor kind of explained to me that your head, your brain, the crystals in your ears, the whole mechanism together doesn't realize that you've stopped moving, so it just moves a little bit more, which is what causes vertigo. Now, for the first 3 or 4 days, before I went to the doctor, because I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I've never felt like this before. I thought I was having a stroke, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's something I want to talk to you about. Like, don't ignore things that happen to your body. I had never had vertigo before. So I genuinely did not know what was happening. So I called the doctor and they were like, well, let's make sure there's nothing going on in your brain. So they did a CT scan. Full disclosure, they did a CT scan with the dye and everything. I'm fine. But it was such a bizarre feeling. Number one, I couldn't get my balance to save my life. Every time I moved my head, my eyes went this way and that way, and it was just crazy. And the nausea. Whew. I hadn't felt that kind of seasicky feeling all day long since I was pregnant, and my child is almost 10 now. So that was almost 10 years ago. So I got diagnosed with vertigo. I got anti-vertigo medication. I found some wonderful exercises on YouTube. I am almost back at 100% fully functioning capacity with no vertigo. I have what's called positional vertigo. So when my head moves a certain way, the crystals in my ears go, oh, this is moving again. So I'm retraining my head to stop doing that. So sometimes I still feel a little bit like a bobblehead, but I'm feeling so much better. But in the midst of this, I couldn't do yoga. Obviously, you can't really contort your body when your brain doesn't realize you stopped moving. You will hurt yourself. I couldn't even walk in a straight line. I still have issues walking in a straight line, but that's getting better. But I couldn't do yoga. And I started to think about how much of my life I had devoted to this one pattern of practice. And it has been really good. Like I've done it on beaches, in little studios that were hot and sweaty. I've done hot yoga. I've done Ashwanga. I've done all kinds of yoga in all kinds of places under good teachers, great teachers, terrible teachers, in sweaty rooms, in big airy spaces. I mean, this has been a significant part of the journey of my physical health. But as I get older, I realize I meditate a lot, but I don't meditate in yoga. They were never connected for me. I would go into, Savasana at the end of yoga and allow my body to relax and cool down, connect with my breath and go deep, into kind of the physicalness of it. But it was never the place that my brain went to relax. Yoga does not relax me. I always did it for health, physical health, not for emotional health, though the benefits are obviously there for all of it. But my reasoning for doing yoga when I first started was the physical benefits of being flexible. And I wanted to stay flexible as I age. I still want to, though I do know there are now other things I would like to try. So as I was, a second here. Here we go. So as I was thinking about yoga and not being able to do yoga, I would get up my mat these past few weeks and I would, stretch as best I could, given the limits of what's the English word from the show doolally, my head feeling all doolally-like. And I started to just think about when you love something like I've loved yoga, it seems weird to think about letting it go because it's not like it's done anything to you. But at some level, I've begun to feel like yoga and I just might need to break up. It might be time for me to think about doing something else that would take the place of yoga. Now, I have done other exercises or other physical activities over the years. Yoga was the thread. It was the light, the cord of light that ran through all of my days, all of my life, all the years of my life since I practiced it. It's been the consistent thing. I've mountain biked, I've roller skated, I've done all kinds of other physical activities. I even ran for a while. Let me tell you something. I'm not running. Unless someone is chasing me with a knife, and even then, I might just have to go, you know what? I will stand and fight because I'm not running. But I have ran 5K races. I have biked through beautiful, beautiful open fields on the mountain bike and just let the wind take me to faraway places in my imagination. I have done so many things, but the consistent thing was always the yoga. It was the thing I always came back to. And even if I had worked out and done something else, I still felt like, at least 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, I'm going to hit my mat because that's where I'm finding my physical center. But I began to think, as I was finding my mat, that I was feeling like things they felt done. You know how you feel like things are just done? Like that feeling of doneness. And you can't quite put your finger on it because there's nothing wrong. And there's no trauma. There's no drama. There's no crazy kind of reason. It's just this feeling in your body that something has reached its natural conclusion. And to hang on to it would actually begin to do you a disservice because you wouldn't feel the same connection anymore that you used to feel to that thing. That's kind of what I started to feel like with yoga. As I was thinking about how to explain this today, I'm reading 2 books, which unfortunately I can't show you because it's they're holding my phone. Because again, this is supposed to happen on my computer. I was going to have a microphone. I have my space set up at home. Didn't happen. So here I am. Anyway, I digress. So as I was thinking about how to explain this, I've been reading several different books over the course of the past couple of years. One that I've been studying really in depth. I'm only reading like a page or 2 at a time because I've read it all the way through the first time. Realized there was so much there to unpack as I was transitioning into this phase of my life. So I've decided to go back and read it again. I also run a book club, which is going to start back up again as soon as I send out the email in September, where we read a book that hopefully will transform someone's life, even if not all of us, but a book designed to help us as we are going through life. So if you'd like to join the book club, definitely DM me. It is $50 to get in. It's a lifetime membership. Once you're in, you're in. You can always take a break and say, I don't want to read the book at this point. I'll drop the link. No, just DM me. I was going to say I'll drop the link to the sign up page, but there isn't one because we're a select group and I like to keep it that way. So anyway, yeah, you're welcome to come in and then take a book off. If you take 2 books off, I ask that you re-up again because you kind of lose the rhythm with the group. Otherwise, you can take a book off and come back. It's not a big deal. And we're heading into our fall reading soon, so I'm excited about that. But as I've been reading Life Unlocked, which is I'm finding to be a really important book for my own journey right now about meditation and how you remap the brain to create a different life for yourself. And, when you reach a certain age, these silver strands do denote some advanced age, but they also denote a lot of stress over the past 10 years. I started graying a little earlier than I would have liked to. But, when you decide to make a big change, you have to give your body new information. If you just keep giving it the same thing over and over and over again, then you're not going to make the change that you seek. You're not going to get to the place that you're trying to go to next. And the place that you come from may have been fine, but you're ready to move on. And as I'm reading Life Unlocked, I'm understanding that there are certain patterns of practice in my life that I'm ready to let go of. Not because they haven't served me well. They've completely served me beautifully. But because it's just time. It feels like a natural part of closing one chapter and opening the next. So back to yoga. Yoga did hurt me. It threw my body into this vertigo mess and completely messed with my equilibrium and the dizziness and the nausea. I swear to God, it felt like being pregnant again. Thank God that wasn't it. But it also made me stop. It literally made me stop doing it. I could not do it. And you know what I found? I just didn't miss it. I didn't miss it. I had looked at my rolled up yoga mat that I've had. It's nice and thick. I got it especially because I'm a big woman. I need good cushion underneath me. My son always says, you've got this heavy yoga mat. I said, yeah, but man, it is so good when you're down there on your knees, when there's something under there. I looked at the things that I had collected over the years, the bolsters and the ropes and the straps and the mats and all of the things. And I thought, what would I replace all of this with? And I realized it didn't matter. And I think that's one of the messages that I want to get across to you today is when you're thinking about how to shift from one reality to the next, when you've been in one place and you're shifting to another, it can be very daunting if you're like, well, I don't know what I want to replace this with. So this is really comfortable. And so therefore, I don't know that I should shift to something new because I don't know what that's going to be. And if I give this up before I know what this is, then what? Then what do I do? You sit in the space. You sit in the space. You sit in the space between. And too often, we run from the space between. It's like dealing with anxiety, to go to the book that I just wrote. It can be really difficult to go, well, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen if I just stop being afraid of everything. And so until I know how to feel, I'm just going to keep feeling anxious. Or you cannot. Too often we get really bogged down in the, okay, but I have to know what the next thing is before I can do this, before I can let this go. I got to know what this is, then I can let this go. My head's doing that funny thing again. So, because I keep moving it in this way, and it's positional vertigo. But anyway, it's better than it was. I'm not gonna complain. It's hard to sit in this space and wait. And just wait and know that the next thing is coming. But how the heck does the next thing come if you won't let go of anything else? I like to tell people your life is really full of it's full of stuff. It's full of people, it's full of sounds, it's full of sights, it's full of smells, it's full of tastes, it's full of touches. How do you know something isn't working if you never stop and give yourself space from all of it and just say, okay, I'm just going to sit here for a minute and see potentially what's happening. It might take a day. It might take a week. It may even take a month. It won't take years. When people stop and give themselves space to listen to the silence, it's amazing what begins to speak into the silence. And so as I was sitting with my silence on my physical activity, I started to remember all of the other physical things I had done over the years. And I was like, oh, I used to ballroom dance, and I used to roller skate. I've gone ice skating. I've walked miles and miles of hiking, and the running but I also realized there's so many other and let's not forget the weightlifting. How could I forget that? For years I was heavily into weightlifting. And I realized there are also so many things I've yet to try. I don't know if I will like them or not because I've never tried them because my life has been full of other things. So I'm thinking I might pick up Pilates. I hear barre is really interesting. I don't know much about it. I've always had kind of an interest in martial arts. I know I'm getting older. I'm a big girl, but still. I actually tried martial arts, but it didn't stick. It might have been a bad timing, though. It was years ago. I'm telling you, I've done a lot. But yoga was always the constant thread. And the thing that I want you to take from this conversation today is whatever comes next will be just as good as what you're going to leave behind. It has to be. Obviously, it has to be. It may not be as good the day you pick it up and start doing it, but it will eventually become just as good as the thing you left behind. Of course it will. It has to. It's you. You are going to make it that good. You are going to be the reason it turns out to be just as good as whatever you're leaving behind. So as I think about leaving behind my yoga practice, I know that whatever I pick up next, I'm going to have to dedicate some time to making it my thing. Okay, well, there's going to be a big hole. So that will be filled in. And I'm going to have to make a commitment to see it through until I decide whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, time is a funny thing. It doesn't take long to decide whether or not something is good for you. We will belabor the point because we're afraid of making a decision. But it doesn't take terribly long. Just a moment. It doesn't take terribly long. I don't know what that is. Sorry. But it doesn't really take a lot of time to decide if something is good or bad for you. I like to say to clients who ask me about relationships and how long before you know if someone cares about you. And I'm like, it didn't take that long. It didn't take that long. Mm-mm. In fact, I would say that if you don't know, a person probably doesn't care. The same thing is true for most things in our life. It doesn't take too long to know if something feels like it's going to be a good thing or doesn't feel like it's going to be a good thing. Now, it may take a long time for it to become a great thing. It may take a lot of work and effort, but you know when you start doing something or you start seeing someone or you start embarking on a new journey, you know in your gut, like this feels right. I didn't say easy. I didn't say simple. I didn't say uncomplicated, but in your gut, you know it feels right. And so therefore, you're going to stick with it because no matter what, it feels like you're going in the right direction. So as I transition out of yoga, I'm looking to see what feels right, and I'm going to go in that direction. And I'm going to go feet first, wholeheartedly, dive off the deep end, because that's just kind of who I am when it comes to something that I really want to do. And I think it's important to embrace the uncertainty that comes along with that. I want to be the novice. I want to learn and allow my body to physically learn this new thing so that it changes. I always find it really funny when people don't want to try new things at all. But okay, I get people are in their comfort zones. But if you want your body to change or your mind to change, your emotions to change, you've got to be willing to try something new. People who suffer from anxiety are locked into the past, because anxiety is about the past. It's not about the future. It's about what already took place, and what we can't predict is not going to freak us out because we can't predict it. But gosh, things that have happened badly to us in the past, and therefore we project that into the future. Anxiety is about pushing the past forward instead of going, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh no. And letting that be okay until you figure it out. So what's going to replace yoga? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Pilates, maybe that bar thing I've heard so much about, maybe martial arts. Maybe I'll take up biking again. I really miss that. Not sure I'd take up mountain biking again, but my son's going to be 10, and I thought I have this vision of him and I biking, so maybe that will be it. I do know that whatever it is, I will love it. And if I don't love it after a few weeks, I'll give it 6, and I'll just move on. And it'll be okay. It'll be absolutely okay. So tell me, what is it that you are holding on to? Where are you in your life, in your transition, in your psyche, in your spirit, in your physical body, where you hear something saying, it's time to let me go? You have loved me well. There's nothing wrong. I'm not leaving you. But I'm asking you to put me on the shelf and allow yourself the beauty of being open to something else. Where do you hear that? Comment below. Let me know where you are hearing the whispers in your life and what are they saying to you. And if you are like, I don't really know what that sounds like, it's a great time to think about starting a meditation practice. I'll cover that another day. But just getting quiet. Give yourself like 15 minutes. Breathe through. Allow yourself the space to say, I don't know. And see what comes up and just says, you know what? I know you and I have been in this grand love affair, but it's actually time for me to go on. And it might surprise you, some of the things that you've held on to, that it's time to let go of. Could be your job. I didn't say that. Could be your job. Could be the business. Could be some clothes that you should have thrown away. Could be some jewelry. I'm not throwing these away. But whatever it is, ask yourself, am I resisting letting this go because I don't think I'll ever find anything as good as this? And that means I'm afraid of my ability to create something this good again. Or because it's comfortable just to keep doing it. I don't want to let it go because it's too much work. And I don't care. I don't like it. Because if it's the second, that's a problem. That's a problem. Every single day is an opportunity for us to be whoever we choose to be. I'm over 40. I have a group called Women Over 40, starting over, life after 40. I firmly believe that the second half of my life is going to be light years better than the first, and the first wasn't bad. I won't get there. I won't get that, and I won't get there if I believe the best years of my life have already happened, and so there's really no point in trying anything new in the next set of chapters, because, what's there to do? That can't be our reality, can it? It can't be who we are. It can't be who we are. So comment below. Tell me what's inkling in those brains of yours. Tell me what you hear in your stillness. Tell me where it's time to say goodbye. It's so hot. I'm not going to sing Boys to Men. I can sing, but I'm not singing today. but I can sing. A girl can sing. Comment below. If you catch this on Facebook, make sure you like our page, comment on the videos so the algorithm will keep showing you that I'm coming on. If you catch this on YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel. I really would appreciate that. And again, leave a comment and answer the question. I try to answer every response that comes in. This is Dr. Sacheen, author of The Anxiety Solution, which you can pick up at the link above in the comments or below if you're on YouTube in the comments, and an expatriate from the land of higher education saying, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.